Hi, my name is Wileman. I own a 1982 Porsche 924, which I've now owned for 13 years. My Porsche classic story was born from me taking things apart to figure out how they work, which is a habit I've had for as long as I can remember. Then 13 years ago I had some money and some space to buy a project or restoration where if I take it apart and it was in bits for a couple of weeks, it's fine. If I break something, that happens quite regularly, it's also fine. So I started to look around at what I could go for. My car history is very German heavy, so a lot of Golf GTIs through the 90s and then into BMWs as the family came along. So I've always had admiration for Porsche and what they've achieved and their cars, but didn't really know much more than their 911s. So I started to look through the different cars they've made and came across the 924. The more I looked into it, the more I figured this is exactly what I want. They're purely a lot mechanical, not too much in the way of electronics going on, and at the time there were plenty around. I started looking for a 94 that matched what I wanted. Looked at a couple that weren't quite right, and then a very, very tatty white 924 appeared on eBay. It had 10 months MOT, so I'm like, mechanically, I should be good to go. So it could be a rolling project. So I could do a bit, drive it, do a bit more. So I put a bid on and let it do its thing. And then a week later, I'd won the car and we were heading down to Fareham to pick it up. So when we got there, the very first thing I noticed was the Dick Lovett stickers in the back window and the Porsche Swindon number plates. I asked the guy selling it if he knew why they weren't there, and he wasn't too sure. But we did all the paperwork, and then I had a slightly nervous drive back from Fareham to Oxford in a 30-year-old car I knew nothing about. And then at that point, drove home fine, no problems at all, and then started doing the restoration for it. After getting home and looking through the car, I soon found that literally every part of it needed work. The bodywork that was matte and faded, there was paint peeling off where decals had been previously put on and were coming off. The electronics were all over the place, the fueling was everywhere. So I literally just started working my way through the car, did all the work myself, because I said that's half the reason for buying it in the first place. And then over the first 12 months, just literally fixed bits, repaired it, moved on, drove it. Got to the point where, at this point, my kids were 5 and 8, so they could get in the back. So we would go to a couple of car events or out for lunch and that kind of thing, and just started using it more and more. About a year into ownership of the car, I had a message come through from one of the forums from a guy saying he used to own it. So it turns out his dad is the principal manager for BMW at Dick Lovett in Swindon, and they'd taken the car in as a PX. From a local business guy who'd had it for 20 plus years. So it was in the lockup waiting to go to auction, and the principal manager's son walked through and said, "Oh Dad, what's that?" And he said, "Oh, it's 94, it's going to auction, taking its PX." And he said, "No, I want it." So he then got it and he ran it for a couple of years before selling it on. So that was quite nice because it filled in history of the car, where it come from, and also why the Dick Lovett stickers were on it and the connection back to it. So carried on restoring it and doing bits to it. At this point, I started to kind of think, well, what do I want to do with the car? I essentially had a reliable factory 924 at this point, but I knew that's not what I wanted going forward. I didn't want a concours car because I want something I can use, not be too precious about. I've never really looked at a track-based car at all. But at this point, I'd also seen a lot of the designs that Porsche had used in the 924. So they've done a number of two-tone schemes, the green over grey, the brown over bronze, the white over red, and various other design themes. So I decided to kind of pick the bits I liked to apply to my car. As it was white already, and so the bottom half, the paint wasn't great when I got it, even though I'd resprayed it. I wanted to go for the white over red because I think it really suits the car. But I want it reversible, so I taught myself to vinyl wrap. And so the red, I vinyl wrapped the bottom half of the car so I can put it back to factory. The interior, without doubt, had to be Pasha. It's just an iconic design from Porsche. So when the interior came up on eBay, I picked that up. A bit of repairs and restoration of that in places. And actually, from other people talking about the car, one of the first things they notice is the passenger interior. It's just, yeah, an iconic design. And then the wheels, going along the same idea as the 924 Turbo, they came along, so they went on it as well. Other than that, I put it down to a factory-inspired modified 924. So it's essentially as if I had ordered the 924 from factory, that's what I would have gone with. 2026 marks 50 years since Porsche launched the 924, and to say it had a bit of a complicated start to life, I think would be fair. Obviously starting as a Volkswagen project, asking Porsche to help with Volkswagen then dropping the project, and Porsche picking it up to release under their own brand to replace the 914 as the entry model to Porsche. I believe it then became, at the time, one of their best-selling models. That then led obviously to the 94 Turbo, the 94S, and now the highly desirable 94 Carrera GT and Carrera GTSs. And then alongside that, a number of race models, including the Carrera GTP, which Dick Lovett was obviously involved in the restoration with a number of years ago. I've seen in the last 4 or 5 years a real change in how people see the 924. I think a lot of it maybe comes down to social media having a big impact, and channels doing restoration on them and tuning of them, and also maybe a bit of a generational thing. So as the younger generations have come up, they're not so much, oh, it's a 924, they're, oh, hang on, what's that? And there's also, through a number of the forums, young drivers are realising you can buy a 924 and it's literally a first car and run it for the potentially less than you could a 10-year-old Fiesta, but your first car's a Porsche. So I think they're definitely having their moment and timing nicely with the 50th anniversary. The 50th anniversary of the 94 obviously coincides along 75th anniversary of Porsche UK, 65 years of Porsche Club GB, and a number of big events scheduled, including the Silverstone event in June. I'm hoping to get the car out and get involved in some events with Porsche Club GB and the local regions with that as well. Over 13 years of owning the 924, I've kind of found all the different ways they have. Generally, they're great. Once the fueling's set up, they're really, really good. They're really sensitive to air leaks and also bad earth points. The bodywork wise, so they'll galvanise, fully galvanised from factory. So unless they're badly treated, they don't tend to rust. So bodywork, they're really, really good. Parts wise, they're fantastic. They're still freely available. And actually, one thing that surprised me when I bought it, so I was kind of expecting parts to be second-hand or really expensive. And I soon realised that the support that Porsche do for their heritage and their older cars is absolutely amazing. It's fantastic. So I've phoned up a number of times for parts, and this is for simply a 44-year-old car, and they're like, yeah, we've got that in stock, we can have it for you tomorrow. It's absolutely outstanding, just the support that Porsche offer for the older cars. But yeah, generally it's fine. There's, I say, plenty of information about looking after them and restoring them, and yeah, they're really easy to work on as well. One thing I've come to really enjoy over 13 years of ownership is almost the Porsche community. So shortly after buying the Porsche, I joined Porsche Club GB. I was kind of under the impression, and this is an assumption on my behalf, that Porsche Club GB was more for the 911s and the high-end stuff, and I quickly discovered that they couldn't be further from the truth. They offer complete support for everything Porsche's built. So I've done a number of events with them, and also along with Gloucester Porsche region as well, their coffee meets, and one thing I really enjoy about actually Porsche in general is you can park next to, you go to an event and park next to, I don't know, a 73 Carrera RS or a Boxster or a Taycan or a brand new GT3 RS, and everyone's generally interested in chatting about everyone else's cars. There's no my car's better than yours. Everyone's just generally like, oh, it's a Porsche, it's cool, which I really, really enjoy. Alongside this, I'm a member of the Porsche Classic Register, which gives extra benefits as a Porsche owner when buying parts and access to other services, which again, just for me, just shows how committed Porsche are to their heritage and their classic car owners. After 13 years of ownership, I can honestly say that buying the 94 was one of the best decisions I've ever made. It's opened up not only the ability for me to have, as I said at the start, something to take apart and something to tinker with and figure out how it works, but also opened up my eyes massively to Porsche and their support for classic the heritage side of their business, to Porsche Club GB and the support they offer to owners, the community side to it. It's just been absolutely fantastic. And so Dick Lovett obviously offer huge support for Porsche and various events. Yeah, one of the best decisions I've ever made.